Oh my goodness, diary listeners. My apologies. This is ridiculous how long this episode has taken to put out. I really want to thank all of you for your patience and for the time that you allowed me to have to travel. And it's really funny because I just re listened to this, in case there was any editing, and I will say that it really healed me. I had a day today that well, in general, I have been very low energy, and I I think that it's just an overwhelming feeling that I had that I think happens a lot, but to equivocate it to Carol Lebaron, and this is part two of our time with her. I I understand what it is to have something happen that, whether it's good or bad, that just kind of knocks you and you have to get back to center again. So, without further ado, I am dubbing this diary entry I Can See Color Again. Part two of my awesome time with Carol. It's always awesome. And I hope it does for you all what it did for me. Enjoy. Welcome to the Apprenticeship Diaries, where raw meets refined.
Let's be real, we're still working on refining.
What it took, what it takes, and the stories that are made.
Join us as we learn from professionals about how their stories began.
I guess my message that I want to put out there, that you can edit this any way you want where you put it, but that this experience that I had, even though it's only been a month, so actually today's the 20, maybe it was exactly a month ago. It was the day after Christmas. What's today? Like the 20, yeah, it was a month ago that she's gone. She's been gone a month.
Wow.
So it's not that long, but right before she died, she told someone, I've lived a really good life. And she was telling how proud she had, all of her children. She had grandchildren, great grandchildren. She had gotten to spend time with all of my children and my grandchildren and my great granddaughter this summer. So she had a great great granddaughter when she died.
Wow.
And she was always so family oriented. And she was, and so this when we were in Newbury Court, this woman came, and she actually used to be she was the former chaplain, but she still lived there. And she said she wanted to tell us the story about mom, how mom came and told her this about how what a good life she'd lived and how happy she'd been, how happy she'd been in community. And then she said, this is what we all want for ourselves. Because we told her the story, of course, how mom died and how fast it went, how happy she was on her last day, surrounded by family, in a beautiful place. She was out in nature. She got to take a walk outdoors, all the things she loved on her last day that she lived. And she died in her daughter's arms, died in Barbara's arms, and all of our arms, because even, we were all there with her. And I was even with her after her breath had left her body, but her spirit was still there. I believe this. And so this woman was saying, thank you for sharing the story, because that's what we all want. And my, niece-in-law, my nephew's wife, I don't know.
I guess, yeah. I guess.
Anyway, she said that to her, that story meant so much because this woman was using the word we, and that it just situated mom in this community of people where they talk about these things, that they are all at the end of life, that this is part of, they're in a place where this is, people do whatever this work is that we have to do. That this is, and I'm someone that doesn't, I'm afraid of death still. I don't want to be cremated, and I don't want to be in a coffin. And I'd like to just be in like a cave or something where I could get out. I'm claustrophobic, and I'm like,
Yeah.
and in my own personal journey, I haven't been able to reconcile the idea that my spirit and my body are separate. Like I have this terrible fear, like this Edgar Allan Poe idea of being in a coffin, but still being alive type of thing.
Aww.
That I have not been able to overcome.
Right.
This experience has helped me a little bit, and Barbara has mom's ashes at her home, because we're going to do the memorial service in the spring, and we have a smaller bag of ashes that we'll scatter at the lake also.
Oh, right on.
Yeah. And so before I left Barbara's house, I almost forgot to. If she brought him home, and I'd been there 2 days and I hadn't even gone over and looked at the urn. I don't know what, but then I was like, oh my gosh, I went back up the icy driveway and went in and said goodbye to the urn, and I was so glad I did, because I had this home, that it was just, and my creative energy is, I can feel it, that it's coming back. And so, anybody out there, like I'm talking to anybody that might be listening to this, and I know that I probably am really lucky, because I lost someone that I loved, that I had a great relationship with, that I got to say everything I needed to say. She died in a way that everybody would wish that they could die. And so if you're out there, you may have this experience that I had, that I'm grateful for, or your experience might have things in it that are painful for you, but they're all things that are given to us, that are things that we can walk through. And this feeling of being able to see color again will come. That's my message of hope today. I can see color again today. And this, and this isn't a plug, but I just want to say, because I'm doing this color and creativity workshop, which I was going to start do it on February 1st and 3rd. I just changed the dates to March 1st and 3rd, because I can't do it next week.
Yeah.
So I'm going to spend the month of February working on that, and hopefully, I'll
Nice.
get a few people that want to come and just,
Colors the Elephant is back.
Yes.
Colors the Elephant.
She wrote a book when she was a young girl called Colors the Elephant. And it was all about this elephant that was talking about how you could be any color you wanted to be.
Yeah, I don't know if it's in the things Mom had or not. I haven't seen it yet, but I have,
it'd be really cool to find that if
Good,
you found it. But that's super cool. It's funny. So I'm going to touch on this just simply because we had a very powerful conversation. It was I will really remember this moment in when my last guest visit to Weird Ink Society, I had a walk-in. It's the first walk-in I've had in years. And it kind of was weird because in this masked world, I didn't see her face. Like I only saw from here up on her. And that was very weird for me. I designed a whole tattoo for somebody that I only saw from here up.
Wow.
And I had a whole moment with her, and same with me. I mean, unless she looks me up online, she only saw from here up on me too. And so what we shared was this, and her tattoo was really interesting because she wanted a woman with 4 eyes. So that was that piece was this 4-eyed woman. And that was what we shared with each other, was both of our eyes. And if you pay attention to the tattoo, one eye is kind of looking at the viewer, and one eye is kind of like set of eyes is kind of looking off a little bit. But it's very subtle. It's very, very subtle. But it was a very cool thing. And while we were talking, she was telling me about her family, and she has a difficult mom. And she was like, I don't know if I should connect with her while she's in town, because I don't know if this is, if I should even go through that, the hope and all of the despair of like, maybe she'll, think about things, or maybe she'll hear this or whatever. And so I offered her something that I think that this episode will offer a lot of people, which is that I said, this isn't going to answer your question. I'm not here to do that. That's up to you, because I don't know what your mother's done, and I don't know that relationship. But I will say this. I think about, and I have thought about all of the friends of mine who when I think about my difficult mother and my difficult relationship with my mother's not, she is what she is. She's awesome, but the relationship's hard, and he'll tell you he's had to experience her too.
Oh my God.
I can't wait to hear more
These
about
two are ridiculous. All of a sudden the conversation will be fuck you. No, fuck you.
It'll just go real.
Are you a lot alike?
Yeah, we are. And that's what my therapist has said. He's like,
She calls her mom the snapping turtle.
Yeah, we call her the Tortuga.
El Tortuga.
Yeah. She does. She looks like a snapping turtle. And she used to say that about her father, who also looked like a snapping turtle. So it's funny because they look alike.
Yeah.
And they have very similar personalities, let me tell you. I mean, my grandfather he loved me, and visibly so, but he was a very formidable guy, and he was not easy to love. And I got him where it was turtle. Well, I got him when it was easy because I always made him breakfast. So he loved that I cooked for him. But what I said to this girl was, I think about my mom, and I had to think about my mom when I lost my therapist because of what she did to like bring me to somebody that could help our situation. And I also thought of all of my friends, which I have several, who have lost their mothers really young and would give anything to have one more argument with their mother.
Yes.
And I don't know if this will help you, but what I came to find for myself was that I don't get to pick the mother I have. I should be grateful that I have a mother, that I still have a mother, and I still get to enjoy her. And it's not about her changing based on what I want her to be. It's about recognizing what she is and finding gratitude for that and seeing her. And perhaps through seeing her for what she is, maybe then we'll see each other a little better. But it's not about getting the mother I want. It's about appreciating the mother that I have and kind of levying the expectations about what will happen whenever we interact. The point is that we're authentic, that I am what I am when I'm around her, and she is what she is around me, so that when that day comes where I no longer get to have her or her me in that kind of tangible sense, where we get to interact like this, I'll know all things were said. I'll know everything.
That's for sure.
Is to rest. Yeah. Yeah, he knows.
I have a little language thing that could really help you.
Yeah.
With yes.
Okay.
Yes. So part of that beautiful thing that you just said was, I should be grateful for the mother that I have. Mm-hmm. And this is a thing that I've been doing in my language. My daughter Emily told me about it. So every time we want to say the word should, mm-hmm. we replace it with the word could.
Okay. I could.
So it changes that sentence to, I could be grateful for the mother that I have. And then this relationship. So like when you say, boy, I should eat less sugar, you would say, I could eat less sugar.
Right.
If you change that should, and in AA,
puts the accountability.
I should all over myself.
Yeah. Right? Yeah.
If you change should to could, every time you hear your mind, like, or when you're talking to someone else, Danny, you should get out of bed. Danny, you could get out of bed.
Yeah. Yeah. It's much different.
It's completely different, but it says the same thing. And it gives like liberty to yourself.
And to affirmation.
And to your mindset.
Yeah. Well, and it gives accountability. It gives power to yourself and the person. No, I love that. I love that. Thank you for that. And thank you for giving that.
Every time you hear this, just stop. Could.
No, I like that. It's the same as don't say I'm sorry, say thank you. Don't
or
say
I was wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. Take accountability.
Or fuck off.
That's it.
There there are times you really need to do that. I'm wrestling with that right now with someone. But yeah.
Well, that has happened between my mom and I. So, and we have not fucked off.
It's hilarious, man. Like, and then her mom would be like, don't stop yelling at me. And Amy would be like, I'm talking to you. You were yelling at me.
She can't hear, so that's a big problem.
Oh man, it's hilarious. No, this is funny. This is why I think it's she can hear better than what she puts off. Because like somebody will literally mention an idea and she will completely like pretend like she didn't hear it. Then out of nowhere, about 10 minutes later, she will literally mention the exact thing that you said.
It's not that, it's that we are actually connecting at this point, and we do think we are very similar. It's just that now she can't. Yeah, exactly.
Question.
When Daddy and I were in couples therapy, and we he couldn't stand, because I could not answer a question. I still can't. I can't answer a question with yes or no. Like if you ask me, is that tapestry behind you red? Just ask me.
No, it's like
no, it's a lot of colors.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but I wanted to say no. I'll say, well, it's got red in it, but it's also it's kind of red, but it's so. He said, whenever you're getting in that argument, so for you with your mom, if it's because you just go, he made us these little cards that were question marks, and instead of saying yes or no or the answer.
Yep. Yeah. Well, it's funny because I put out on the network that I am an insatiable student of life. I'm that person who answers questions with questions. Like, and people get frustrated with that. Like I've had people say like, and just the same as our last conversation when you were talking about how people get frustrated that you use bigger words or things like that. It puts them in a place where it really, you don't understand. And in some way they feel it's them having to justify themselves or break it down in a way that's very rude of you to want to like have them explain themselves. But it's like, well, no, I don't understand. How is me seeking clarity so that I can understand how I feel? How is that robbing you of yourself? This is it's funny because that's what it ends up becoming.
It's about them rather than about you. They make it about them.
Well, and that's the thing. That's when you and it's good to have those cue cards, because if you don't have those breaks, and I've suggested this for my parents too. I was like, have buzzwords or have trigger words or have something that can say, let's end this conversation now, because you get to a point where you are just defending yourself within a conversation, and they do it a lot, but then you're not communicating. Communicating is about sharing with the idea of moving forward. And if both people are just defending themselves, then you should just be alone. You should just go off, and like it might be a point where you have to like think about what you have to say or think about what the other person has had to say, and then come back and address those things. But when you're both defending yourself, there is no collaboration, there is no teamwork.
You're both listening to respond.
Yeah. That's
what that is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Great one that also works for me really well, and this was something that my sponsor had told me years ago, was if somebody comes at you with something like, the other day you had 7 shoes on and it just made me so mad, and you want to just come back at them. So it's not your freaking business that I'm wearing 7 shoes. Like, how dare you say that? Instead, you just let me think about that.
Yep.
And then you say,
yeah. Well, because too, there's also a point of like de-escalation, because when a person is confronting you, 9 times out of 10, they're confronting you under a pressure point of emotionality. Because had it really bothered them very intensely, they would have mentioned that when you were actually wearing the 7 shoes, but they didn't. Bless you. They had to get to a boiling point.
I was like, I can't hold it in. Oh my God.
When you just sneeze like that, no.
What,
mean, that's
you
the
got
thing.
something against 7 shoes, Rico, or what?
Has 7 shoes. But no, like if they had really been mad about it when it happened, then they would have confronted it then. So when they're confronting it delayed, you're getting them at a boiling point and saying, let me think about that.
Right.
It will allow them to de-escalate too, because at the point that they're confronting you, they've probably been thinking about the confrontation for like a whole day at least. So
they've been obsessing over those damn
right.
shoes.
And you're not prepared for the confrontation at that point. You're just hearing about this for the first time, whereas they're boiling. They're getting to this boil to where they can finally. It's like in The Art of War, that little book that's so great.
I need to read it.
It's good. I mean, it's very like war based and clinical, but it's if you think about it in a metaphorical and applicable sense to everyday life, they're basically, they've got high ground on you because they're prepared and they're catching you non-prepared. And if you say within that engagement, wait a minute, I don't want to have a war here. I want to have a diplomacy. And then you tip the balance of that interaction. And then you say, let me think about that. That then gives you the ability to get your arsenal so that you're both able to come into a conversation de-escalated on similar ground so that you can actually have a conversation and it's not going to be this inflated war. It's not going to be a battle. Yeah. Because the person's pretty much attacking you. like that's what they're doing. They're catching you off guard and on high ground, and they're just launching assault. So if you say, well, this is, you're launching assault. And my therapist did give me that advice too. She was like, Amy, what I see of you is you're very reactionary. An important thing to know, especially in conversation, is to ask for time. Tell people, I don't know yet. You're going to have to give me time to think about that before I can actually, because this is an important, it's an important conversation. I care about how you feel, but I'm not prepared to answer you right now. So if you can give me some time. And she was like, and anybody who won't give you time, they're not worth it anyway. Let them leave your life.
I like that. That's what I need to say to this text that I've gotten from someone recently.
Yeah.
Sitting on it because it was another attacking text. And I'm like, okay, thought we were done with this. And apparently we're not.
Because you're so selfish. Yeah. I love how that works too. But once you've done healing, and what's great about, I think, you and me at this point is that we really want to share these things with the world so that we can bring this to other people, so that we can make not only our own relationships better, but hopefully really help theirs, because that's the way we all get to have that kind of life experience, is that, people would, in this culture anyway, right now, people would seek to make you feel guilty for like having a really great life and experience and all of those things.
Yes.
Yes.
I have a friend who gets angry when I say I'm happy.
Yeah.
It's like, you can't possibly be that happy. And I mean, I'll be honest, I'm not great at keeping friends.
Yeah.
Because I love to be alone. I'm very happy on my hill. I could be very happy with 3 or 4 people. I could be happy dying alone on my hill. Actually, I have my sisters. I have people like you. I don't know. I don't really feel like I'm alone.
Yeah. Me neither.
So I shouldn't take someone else's label. But people that really need a host of friends feel as though you're doing something wrong if you don't need the same thing. Mm-hmm. I haven't figured out how to navigate that.
You don't, other than you. I feel like you just keep being you, because if they're not going to take you as you are, they're not really a friend. They're not a compatriot. They're not somebody worth keeping in your inner circle. So that's the truth of it, is that like you never. I mean, I had a bunch of friends in COVID that left me, and what I realized upon reflection is that if we were to think about all of our interactions, for the most part, they tried to lessen my shine. They really did. They really tried. They could not, like you just said, they could not understand the wealth that I felt, no matter whether they were making more money or me. They couldn't understand why I was content with my choices, with my life, in how I operated. It was completely unfathomable to them.
Yes.
And they kept trying to take away at it. They kept questioning me about me and about why I was the way I was, and because it was just so alien to them. And in retrospect, they were really trying to bring me down. They were trying,
even though they don't realize it.
No,
they think that they're helping you because they believe that you need what they need.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's funny. And we both do it to each other. Like I did it to them too. However, here's my thing, is that the reason why I will trump them, I feel, is because my shit comes from a source that is pure. Because in all of my time that I worked in the beauty industry, for example. This is a good way to break it down. And I had all these women that would come to me and they'd want to look like someone else. They'd want Jennifer Aniston's hair. And I'm like, well, you don't have an entourage of people doing your hair for you every day like Jennifer Aniston does. And you have 3 kids. Okay. So let's give you
your hair days are gone.
Well, no. Let's give you something you can do to make you feel beautiful in your skin, that's applicable to your life, that is going to be something that you enjoy and that factors in with your life. What I teach, at least that what I try to exude to people, is ownership of themselves and their choices. And that comes from a place that only you can feel, and you don't have to justify to anyone else. But it exudes from you in such a radiant way that people, they sit there and they wonder about it. They're like, how do you have that? And it's simply the one thing they're unwilling to do, which is to look inside and be real with themselves and de-escalate everything and stop chasing this dragon of things where you're going to buy this like massively expensive hair treatment in order to get Jennifer Aniston's hair so that you can what? Like, are you going to go out and become an actress like the next day? Like what exactly?
Doesn't she just have straight hair?
Well, yeah, but like it's beautifully straight. I mean, she has got some banging hair. I'm just saying that, like,
I don't know. I don't really noticed her hair. I mean, it's straight hair.
It was a huge fad for a while. It was this cut that she had in her Friends days that everybody was chasing. Then it was Victoria Beckham, and then there was like all these trends that like go through. That it's the same with tattoos too. Like I'll get within the same week like a handful of people that want elephants. They'll just like cycle through. It's like, what's the Pinterest special now? Like, what are we looking at? Is it arrows? Is it infinity knots? Is it like
the boat anchor?
You can literally see the societal trends within the art that you're commissioned to do. And that
is true.
Right. And so what I always seek to do with people is I try to redirect them. And I'm like, stop comparing yourself to other people. What is you? You're here with me. I am a catalyst for what we can make together that has never been done. This is a purely unique moment where we can create something that invokes all the nuances of your life, what we're going to share together, and it will become this amazing moment that you get to wear forever that's uniquely yours. So we can infuse some things that visually you like. They're valid. But all this other stuff, stop trying to be a poor man's blah, blah, blah. And that's the thing, is that like, and my dad kind of hated it at times because it came down to like elder women. He's like, why don't you encourage older people to dye their hair? Don't you think they look better? And I was like, no, not necessarily. I was like, I think an older person that looks great is somebody who has aged gracefully into their age and exudes all of the wisdom and all of the regalness that you get from that age. And that doesn't require you to dye your hair. And I was like, I love seeing smile lines on a person who has, you know, smiled most of their life, and who has, you know, these eyes that just radiate experience and truth and like depth. And
my face has both. You
yeah,
can
I know.
you can see the smile lines, but you can
Yes.
also see like the
The long nights, you know, and things like that.
All of those marks are
But
there.
see, for me, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, to me, that's beauty. And asking people to own that. And the reason why I say it trumps it is because it is the cheaper option. That's the only way you don't become a part of the cycle of capitalistic bullshit. That's the only way that you divert that, is if you pick out who you are, what your boundaries are, what things make you happy, and you invest in those. That's the only way that you cut out the rest, because otherwise you're just chasing the dragon. You're just going after one thing after the other.
The whole idea of, and you know that I'm not a person that has gotten tattoos, and it's probably not likely that I will. It just, I don't think it's me, you know. We've talked about it a little bit. I've always loved, like, I've always fantasized about it, but I love it on other people. It's like,
you want me to paint you, which I think is cooler.
Yes, I would like you to do that. Yeah. But what I'm getting at is the whole idea of body art. And so I'm saying tattoo because tattoo is permanent. Mm-hmm. Tattoo is a statement that it's a certain type of person that will have a tattoo, want a tattoo, and will go through what it takes to there's a whole, and I understand that. That's why I know it's not me. That's why I have so much deep respect for people that do it and have done it since the earliest tattoos, which I still haven't quite figured out when that is, but I'm fascinated with the history of it. I think it's at least probably 10,000 years, probably older.
Yeah.
Because humans, one thing, and it probably was, a spiritual thing to begin with. It was probably shamans. It was probably people that were, using whatever those images were to transform themselves. And so I think of early sculpture, like the lion humans, things like that, that they would become, back then the spirit world was closer in so many ways, 10,000 years ago. And I think we're heading back there.
Yeah.
But so all of that being said, the idea of something trending on your own body, if you're a person that wants to own a tattoo, is such an oxymoron. It's like, it would be like eating shit with a silver spoon. I don't know.
I know. I mean, seriously. And we feel this way about NFTs too. Like on the reverse end of it, like the whole idea of that's such a block for me with NFTs.
What's NFT stand for?
NFTs is non-fungible
token.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't get behind the NFT because
I don't want to.
Yeah, I don't either.
Is that cryptocurrency stuff?
Cryptocurrency has it does have a link there as far as like it's a trackable thing that is trackable towards a source as far as code.
So what's an NFT then?
An NFT is a digital token of whatever elected.
It's the same shit.
No, it is. It's
like see the artwork behind me.
Yeah.
If I made a little JPEG of that, right? And then I used whatever expensive program that they've come up with, because the people that are making the money on the NFTs in the end is going to be the software people and the people that sell the courses and all of them. Just like gaming, now you have to have a master's degree in gaming. There's a whole academic in the past less than 10 years, an entire branch of academia has been created around gaming because there's so much money in it. It's about the money. So the NFT, it's the same thing. There's going to be academia for NFTs. It's going to be entrenched in the art world. It's all going to be the internet. Then there's going to be an EMT. What is it called? EMP, magnetic charts.
EMP.
Yeah.
But anyway, so you have to use a special code, and then you can see that. And then it has a signature. And so supposedly, when you buy that, you can auction it off for $300,000, which in Sotheby's has just sold their first one, or Christie's. I forget which one. There's some auction house. It's either Sotheby's or Christie's. I can't remember which one, but I read, I subscribe, I get the Art News newsletter, and sometimes I read it and sometimes I don't, and they're starting to push this stuff because their dealers are discovering there's money there. And it's like,
that's the thing, is that it's all about money. But here's my thing, and we had a long talk about this on Clubhouse, was that there's no tangible thing there, and that the decadence of it is like eating shit with a silver spoon, because like you listen to these people talk about how they bought this fucking digital whatever the shit it is for $100,000.
Because if they really look at what they've done,
and they could feed a country.
I'd rather buy $100,000 of gold, actual gold.
Like, that's the thing, is that me as a person who's going, this is my happiness. Like, I chose to stay in this house, and I really like this house, and it's a rad house, and I don't want to leave it until I'm ready, but I still have to pay off it. And I still owe a certain amount on it. And I owe about as much as these people are paying for these little fucking digital icons that really, I am completely within my realm to make these things, because as far as an artist is concerned, I know I've seen what they're buying, and I'm like, I am way better than these people. But
I could just a little fern, it would be fine.
Right. But I'm thinking about like for instance, we were watching, this is a low point in my life, by the way, fans, Carol, I admit this on air. I was watching Selling Sunset, and I cannot believe that I was watching this. It's awful.
I watch that kind of stuff. I haven't watched that one yet. I watch reality TV.
I don't know if you can handle this one. This one is decadent. This is decadent. It's real estate agents selling property in LA.
I've actually looked at that one. I haven't started watching it yet, but
because it's a train wreck. It's a fucking train, and these people are alien. Like you're just like, the things that they worry about, they think about. I'm like, holy shit, dude. But I like it. I like it for the dealings. I like it for like the business exchange, and just kind of like looking at upper scale, like I guess professionalism on certain levels. That's all very congruent. But there's a scene where this girl, she's pregnant, and she's looking through, one of the characters, she's looking through this like $1 million home. It might even be more than that. And she's like talking about her one child that she's about to have, and how she's not sure if this will be enough space. And she's got this, the guy who's showing her the place, it's her coworker. He's a former coworker that she worked with. He picks up her chain, this beautiful bejeweled chain, and lifts it up. You think you're going to see a purse, but what it is a little folded chair on a chain. And I'm looking at this girl, and she's like, "Oh, it's my chair purse. Look, isn't that cute?" And she just unfolds the chair and like sits it there. And he's like, what the hell is this? She goes, "It's real. It's cute.
Innovation.
It's an accessory. You wouldn't understand."
Hey man, you can market that to guys if they go shopping. And
that's,
just need a seat.
That's essentially how I feel about NFTs.
I want one.
Like a chain wallet, chain chair.
And I'm thinking about how much money. I mean, she's looking at this $1 million like Mecca home that's like it's like bigger than most churches. And she's saying it doesn't have enough space, and she has this church purse. This chair purse that doesn't hold anything. And I'm thinking about like, what the fuck did she spend on that? I wish they had like a little dollar mark that went up just for this accessory.
Man, that's an idea.
I'm totally looking them up online right now. I'm gonna see if you can buy a chair purse online.
Chair purse.
It was
Yeah,
the
let's
most ridiculous thing
I'm gonna
ever.
Google it.
It was ridiculous.
I gotta see this.
Okay, be my Jamie, fact check this. But dude, this thing was the most
Oh,
ridiculous
it's
thing.
just coming up with lounge chairs. It's not showing any chair.
Oh my God. It's a fold out chair purse on a bejeweled there it is. Right there. Right there. Show her. It's literally a chair.
Oh my God.
What the fuck? I thought that you could actually sit on that.
Oh,
No.
Blank chair purse.
It's not even for like
Oh,
most stalls would struggle to sit on that.
dude, like
It's only
what?
$121. So hers was probably more than that.
I know.
You can get it on Etsy for
What
$120.
in the hell? I thought it was like an actual thing that like was of substantial size, like one of Flavor Flav's clocks. Around
that would have made
folded
sense.
out into a stool that she could sit on.
For a pregnant woman, that would have made sense. No,
Yeah,
this is a
see, she's
pregnant-
carrying it here.
Yeah.
That is ridiculous.
Right?
Why?
Ah,
I guess it's for a shot or like your drink.
She would say
Your
it's
beverage.
an accessory and you don't get it. Which
you know what? If
Again.
you're so like think about this.
NFTs.
You're like a Instagram personality or social media, like people are going to remember you for that chair purse.
Oh, they I'm pretty sure that's the reason why there's an Etsy for a chair person.
Mhm.
It's because of that fucking woman. That's what I'm saying though. Like, why my feelings about what I know and how I cultivate my happiness trumps the chair purse, I think is evident. Okay. It's evident. Why is my
This
philosophy?
is Jason's new bling, chair purse.
I'm chair
Oh,
purse.
yeah, chair purse.
It should be
Chair
his
purse.
NFT.
It's a
I
church
swear to God. Dude.
or a pair.
And so like that's why I'll say all day long. My philosophies on happiness, they're basically so that you can walk into the fire of your life feeling really great. You can meet your death feeling such bliss and such peace because you know that you invested in what mattered to you.
And I know my mother laughed like this on her last day. And it's like, I've been thinking lately, like, what if you just lived every day as if it was your last day? Like, make the most.
Carpe diem.
Don't waste your time. Time is so precious.
I've said it on the podcast before, but I do recommend this because I think it's appropriate to put it out again. Write your own eulogy. It's very powerful because it makes you think about how you would want people to remember you. And it makes you think about how you choose to handle certain situations in your life when you're in difficult times. I've done it a couple of times and it changes and I trump them, at times, but I think about what I'll say at people that I love, eulogy, if I have that opportunity of giving their eulogy, of like how I will phrase that because of what I want our relationship to be or what our relationship is. And it brings me a lot of gratitude, and it also makes decisions a lot easier for me because it quantifies, everything down to a very pivotal point. And it's about kind of like you said, teaching yourself not to think about yourself first. How do you want other people to remember you? And what kind of marks, because we're artists, what kind of marks do you want to make on this world? What will be that? So it's very powerful. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's when back to the whole title for this podcast, Creativity Through Adversity. That's what that is.
Yeah.
Is that no matter what that adversity is, it's a life experience. If you're experiencing adversity, it means you're alive.
Mm-hmm.
So you can choose to look at it, and not that you have to fight it head on, but you don't need to close yourself off from it either, or deny it or pretend it isn't there.
Yeah. No, that's the kind of heat you need, actually. That's why like all the juices are kind of coming back when you're seeing color again. It's not because there's no pain. It's because there is pain. There's something to comment on. There's something to reflect on and to pull out of you and to meditate through and to romance your experience again and commune with, to feel. I think that's also something that artists, you know, we need to feel things very intensely. You know, like, I think that's why a lot of us are addicts. A lot of us don't make it past 27, you know, like, it's because we have to suck the marrow out of every experience and have the richness of it and go deeper than what most people are willing to go, because we want to feel the pain. We want to feel it enough to really comment on it in a way that we can give these truths to people who are maybe not willing to go that far.
And if we don't have the tools, when that pain hits us, then we find our escape mechanisms. This is where the addiction to anything, whether it's to credit cards, rulers, alcohol, pills, or 7 shoes, you know, where any of that comes from, is wanting to make things go away. So there's always that fine line as creatives, you know this, that you have to be walking on the tightrope all the time, but we need each other. We need the safety net. So yes, I can say all day long, I love being a hermit on the hill, but at the same time, talking with you today has been amazing.
Oh, I'm glad.
Come out, you know, I've been able to come out and tell this story, which has been really healing for me. And, you know, looking at it and say, okay, I don't have to say this. I don't have to say that. I don't need to give I can talk about my own experience walking through this. And the color thing, now that I'm thinking about it, I think it was like 4 days ago. It was one of those days, it was gray most of the day, but then the sun comes out. And so the hills that I showed you in that picture were purple on top, for somehow, because there was sun and moon at the same time and the sun was just going down. So it turned them like this deep, bright magenta, kind of like the color that's in that fern there behind me.
Wow.
Color. And I noticed it and I'm like, oh my God, I'm seeing this color. And it was a physical sensation of color. And I knew in that moment that I'm going to feel better, that I'm going to get better. But it hasn't really been until yesterday and today that more of myself came back. So there are fits and starts to it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And you know, fortunately you have Danny and you have your sisters and your family to like share this with you. Me. Yep. Rico. Yep.
Creative life.
Rico feels it too. I mean, a lot of the reasons when people ask him, you know, how do you weight lift or how do you get like that? He's like, dude, you got to go through a lot of shit. Like you got to suffer. Like I've suffered. I've lived a life. You share a little bit. Like that's what you've had to say to people.
Well, yeah, I had a military stepdad, man.
Yeah.
Like, so when you got somebody kicking the shit out of you constantly, telling you that you're weak and stupid.
Yeah.
That'll, like, you know, you can either, you know, you turn that into, you know, either a positive or a negative thing, but you know, like we had to do yard work constantly, which is a good thing, honestly. But like, we were physically abused, man. Like we had this shit. Like I was getting fucking punched in the head at like fucking 13 years old.
Yeah.
You know, like back talk. I mean, you know, getting, you know, popped for back talking is one thing, but getting like rocked is a complete, you know. Oh, I'll share one story. It's funny now. It wasn't funny then. Well, my older brother, right at the time, lived with us. I mean, I had to be probably like 10 or 11 years old. My little brother was 2 years younger. Well, we're sitting at the dinner table, and my older brother, he was a hooligan. Well, he was, you know, mouthing off to my stepdad, you know, for whatever reason while we're eating dinner. Well, my stepdad goes to punch him in the face at the table. And my older brother, man, is, you know, he ducked it. And I'm sitting there just eating my food and bow. Fucking, I was the one that took the shot, man. My little brother will tell you, I knew when I hit the floor, my brother said my fork was still in the air. Yeah. And I just remember being on the ground because I didn't cry because it was just like a force just took me out of the chair because I didn't see it coming. I just remember laying on the ground, looking up at my little brother.
Where's my food? And I'm
Like,
so hungry.
dude, like, what the fuck just happened? And my little brother was looking at me like, holy shit.
Dude.
That was just one incident, but man, I took the full force of that shot, man. Like a truck just hit me, just bloop.
All that
And he was like,
we are. There's no doubt about it.
yeah, he was a big dude. He was like 6'2", 260, lifted weights, did all that shit, man. I mean, this dude was, I just, like I said, I didn't cry or nothing because it was just like a force. I mean, you had this giant fist just like meet my tiny head like this.
Yep.
Like, oh my God, somebody threw a cinder block at me, dude. Just took me right out of the chair.
So when he goes down to lift, it's like channeling all of that.
Man.
Like he channels all of that. And it's so intense that I just remove myself from the room because one, he lifts things that I find unbelievable. And I've said this to a mom and she actually loved it in regards to her kids. I said, my self-doubt doesn't need to be in that room with him.
Yeah.
And she was like, I love that. I'm going to use that because it's true. She's like, I have to think that every time my kids like do something wild, like on their dirt bikes or something like that, I want to be the mom that like encourages them to like, get dirty and do things that are, a little bit scary, but like, I have to let go. I have to let go about all the things that could happen and just see what will happen if I give them this liberty and this ability to discover themselves. But like, that's what I have to do when he's lifting, because there's so much that he has to channel in that space and so much that he has to put into each lift for himself. And that's really become his catharsis now. But that's what he tells people all the time is like, you have to be a person who's regularly attacked, honestly, to get to this level of like diesel and fuck you attitude. And
well, anybody can lift weights, but like the people like you like some of the world's strongest men, like, you hear there was one guy that was from South Africa in particular, and they were asking him, how his childhood was. And it was fucking brutal. And then there was an American guy, Derek Poundstone, back, about 10, 11 years ago. I think he retired. But his upbringing was brutal as well, and it's just like, I guess. And you hear some of the old time strong men, it's the same shit. Like Bruno Sammartino, he was a strong man and, real wrestler from back in the day. And I mean, he had to hide from Nazis, and they were eating snow before his family came to America, and they landed in, I guess, Pittsburgh or went to Pittsburgh. When the Nazis were coming through Rome, his mother, they had to hide in the mountains, and for food, they were eating snow and all this other shit. And he was a gangly little teenager, and then he came to the States and was picked on, and then he just decided to, because once they were in America, then they had, more access to food and freedom and all that stuff. So he bulked up, lifted weights, and then ended up becoming, what the legend that he is now.
It's amazing. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
You're making me want to lift weights again, though.
I know, right?
We have a weight bench downstairs.
Yeah.
I'm on my path. Like I do enjoy cardio, but as he said, we're just gonna get a weight vest that can handle up to 100 pounds, and we're just gonna keep weighting me. Right now, I'm just on my free weight right now, but and that's taxing. But I know that it will be a matter of months before that's way too easy, and I'm gonna need to upscale it. But
yeah, you don't have to just like lift weights to build muscle.
Yeah.
You can walk. You can do calisthenics. I see some
I
people with
walking.
calisthenics are insane.
I like walking, and I don't really want to build muscle so much as I've got osteopenia.
yeah.
And so I do like it's not a lot of weight. I just multiple
reps.
Yeah.
Lie down,
Bodybuilding.
up and down like that. And then I have one that I get on one knee and I go like this.
Yeah.
Then I walk, but I hadn't thought of I have ankle weights, but they're hard to walk in.
Mm-hmm.
Like I trip on them.
Yeah, I have a weighted vest.
You probably need to make them tighter.
Yeah.
They
And they're hard.
They're annoying.
Every once in a while, like mine will pop off, like the Velcro on them is like getting worn and stuff. But the vest is a good idea because it's kind of like it's kind of like what they say about like, your finances and stuff. Don't spend more than what you get. So like if you constantly are under this pressure and it's not of you, like I'm basically taking on weight as I'm losing it and building muscle and strength. So I think that's a good plan for me, because I like to get in my head when I'm doing things. I don't like counting reps and things like that.
I like to walk. I like to be outside, and I don't,
Mhm.
I don't like, I do those other things just because it's good for my arms and that kind of thing. But I've been trying a backpack, but I like the idea of a vest better.
Mhm.
A backpack hurts your back.
Yeah.
Because it throws your center of gravity off.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, vest is way better because it's like in line with your person.
Yeah. So that's, I think, what we're going to do.
Never even knew there was such a thing.
Right?
A weight vest?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I think they make them that go up to several hundred pounds.
Yeah.
No, thank you. I'd be happy with like 20 pounds would be fine.
And they make those, they make 10 pounders. They make ones, like I said, you can just keep loading them with weights.
Because when you start wearing a lot of clothes, you just get too hot.
It's true. It's true. He's gonna do pull-ups in them. I'm like, oh my God, I can't even do a pull-up right now. So I'm thinking that if I do that, maybe it'll get me where I need to go, and maybe I'll start doing more weightlifting, like proper. But I just need to get past my couch right now and all of the wonderful
You're not on
balls.
your couch now. You're sitting up, so you're stepping.
No, I mean, I'm always doing something, which thank God, if I wasn't, and if I didn't have a house where I had to go up and down stairs too, that's another thing.
3 stories.
Yeah, I missed that when I was in, the only thing that was good about it was that I was traveling with a lot of extra weight on me constantly when I was in Minnesota. But like we had an elevator. So I was like, wow, this is weird. Like I'm not, walking up and down stairs, and
elevators. You don't have to take the elevator.
No, I don't. I did. I was walking a lot. Fortunately for me, all of it, well, I guess it was fortunate and unfortunate. All of the airports that I was going to, like whatever terminal I like arrived in, I had to like walk for like miles to get to my next gate. So like, it was great. I got a lot of walking in, and weighted walking in. But yeah, that's I mean, we went on a tangent, but I wanted to let it's the same for him. That's why he loves being around creative energy too. It really calms him when I'm creating and stuff, and when he gets to take part.
It's cool to watch.
Yeah, because he's like, it's just super relaxing, and it's cool. Yeah, it's that state where he gets to kind of like share with me and just be calm, and he's like, this is so nice. Yeah, it's cool.
It's cool. I like what a great thing to wrap up on is just this whole idea of just physical fitness. And actually my mother had little weights. That's awesome. Right up till the end, she did senior strength.
It's really, really important. My dad actually right now, he's my whole life has been a barber. And then he got his senior cosmetologist license and a master barber's license he's had, but then he also was a massage therapist, and now he's got his personal training certification, and he's working with elder care. So he's basically doing that right now. He's working with the elderly to try and get them more mobility. And
that's cool.
Yeah, he's meeting with a guy every day who he said, man, let me tell you what, this guy is sharp and his eyesight is unbelievable. He's like, he loves to read, and we play cards, and we're like, my dad just has fun with him. He's like, honestly, it's fun to just go over there and, we play games and stuff. And he really enjoys the time. It's been really good for him.
So you just basically are getting paid to be a senior citizen
a buddy.
How cool is that?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Well, and he knows all of my, I mean, I'm so fortunate with my dad. Of course, I always, it's sad that I had to come to appreciate my mother, and I've always appreciated my father. My dad has always been the like guy who had like little extra things to give you. Like he never answered a question with yes or no. It was always this, and this is the history. And that was always the case. And I didn't like it at first, but now I just love it. And he knows everything. He knows everything about like proteins, protein structure, dieting, how to do all those things. He was a triathlete growing up. So my dad, many martial arts that he's done, he knows the ergonomics of the body very, very well, just all the things that he's done. So just having that in my life, my whole life, has been pivotal. And I was born with an underdeveloped hip. So I had a body cast on from like basically here down when I was a newborn, and I had to sit and have my
like a little gingerbread man.
Yeah, I had to have my bone grow into my hip, or else I would have
Oh
walked
my
with one leg.
Good Lord.
Yeah. And I was the first. Can you imagine? My mom had to go through that. But yeah, like I not had a parents that were both very active. My mom wasn't inactive either. She loves activity, but she's like you. She likes practical activity. She likes to walk, and she likes to like do things. Like if she's physical, it's with a purpose, she wants to lift things that she needs to move. And, like she's not just going to lift things to lift things. But like they were both very active, and right away, my doctors were like, you got to get this kid in water. So most of my childhood was spent swimming, and my parents were avid swimmers and scuba divers and things like that. So I learned so much from my parents in that respect, that now I'm like, I don't know what kids are doing these days, but I do know that what I received as a childhood and education is vastly different and super rare, because I just assumed everybody knew these things. Like when I talk to people and I suggest certain things, they kind of look at me like I have 5 heads. Like, what kind of expert are you in this? And I'm like, I kind of have lived this. I don't know what kind of expert you have to be, but like this.
I don't either.
Yeah, like this is a thing. But yeah, it is a great way. And this was wonderful for me too. I needed that little cry for Alex. I thought I had gotten past crying with her, but it's such a happy cry though, because it's there's no regret there. It's just this overwhelming, like it's so much you can't hold it kind of feeling, and it just kind of has to come out of you. Like I'm feeling it again, but it's just that like, it's good. It's good.
It's not something we get past.
No.
First of all, it's not an obstacle.
No.
So why would we get past it like an obstacle? It's something that's always with us. And when those moments, like for me, this was a really special moment. Like I feel as though, and if I think about Apprenticeship Diaries, if you take that whole theme of apprenticeship, like I'm an apprentice of the great creator, if you will, the great artist or whatever, that, and we both are, or we're apprentices to each other. So this chapter that I could share this chapter with you, and really the organization that my mother always gave all us kids roles. And so my one sister had her role, and Dot had her role, and, everybody had their role. And mine was always, help clean the closet, organize her closet, fold her clothes, get rid of this or that. She always had piles of things for me, so the ultimate service as a daughter that I was able to do at the end was that last organizing. Mm-hmm. And I'm able to share that with you, so that as a diary, a chapter in that life. And now all this, I'm the oldest. I'm it.
And not only that, but, I don't want to think about this day. But this is what I thought about when my therapist in her celebration of life, her daughter had done an interview with her, and her daughter played that interview during her celebration of life. And I was able to hear Alex's voice again. And so now your child and your children's children and their children, they can hear you. And if there is an NFT that it'd be cool to have forever. It's this recording. It's what they get to witness of their legacy and their family for a time where they get to hear these things and they get to atone. And my dad always talked about this. When my first nephew was being born, my dad, they were talking about what they want to be called. He's called Poppy, by the way, but he didn't get what he wanted. What he wanted was grandfather. And
Grandfather?
My mother was like, what?
I'm like, yeah, no, immediately shot down.
You want to be called grandfather? And he's like, yeah, because he's like, I always, when I think about it, I think about the old Native American grandfather, where they would come to the grandfather and they would ask for the stories.
See, grandfather is actually an honorific. It's not really. Yeah. So, but we always called our grandfather Grandpa, and my father was Grandpa. My kids called my dad Grandpa, and they still call Danny Grandpa Dan, and then they call Ross Grandpa.
Grandfather.
His granddaughter on his natural son's granddaughter. She calls him Pop.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Poppy is really cute.
Man, I wish I could have been there, because I'd have like, you know what? Shit in one hand and wish in the other. Which one fills up first?
Well, what I took from that was just, again, like I said, like, write your own eulogy. Like how, and that is how I see my dad. My dad is the storyteller. My dad's the joke guy. My dad is the guy who loves to tell stories. He loves to perform. He loves all of that. So for him to kind of think of his role as a grandparent and what he wanted to be called, and kind of think about that image of like the grandfather, like somebody that you source for the old stories of yore. Like I was like, that's cool. I like that. I can see what you're going for. I don't think it's going to happen.
I'm like easy there, Wyatt Earp.
And here I'm being grandmother.
Yeah.
This is a grandmother's story for sure.
Yeah, but that's the thing, is that like, and that's what I thought. I really want to get my mom on here. It's really hard to peg her down. But I'm probably just gonna have to start recording her one day and just be like, well, I got it. But my dad, he actually met with me because he was one of my first mentors in apprenticeship for hair. And so I wanted to interview him for the podcast.
Oh, cool.
And so I have that, I'll have that of my dad for forever. And he was like, Amy, I didn't realize how much you absorbed. Like, that was really cool. That was a really cool thing. Just much like how you're kind of feeling about this right now. Like, it's a really cool thing. It's very cathartic, and it's very neat to commune with the people in your life and hear how much they absorb and how much you're able to share. And he was like, it was really cool to kind of dip back in the things that I've done and be recognized for them. I didn't think that you saw all that. And I said, are you kidding me, man? Like, I've been paying attention. And he said, I felt really good. I felt really good. I said, it felt really good for me too, because I'll always have this of you. And it's pretty awesome. So yeah. So I want people, when they hear this, if you're at all scared to do a diary entry with me, this is what it's like. Like, it's whatever phase of life you come in, it's fine. We're going to talk about it. There's lots of story. You've done a lot. Don't think you haven't. And it's really not scary. It's just a moment in time. It's just a diary entry. That's all it is. So
special. And I can't wait till next month.
I know. I would love it. I would love it to have you a regular person on the podcast. So
it's going to be an ongoing, because I think there's a lot to share. And I think
you are a teacher.
Right.
Yeah, you are a teacher. So that's important for you to do these things. And I would love to give you a regular spot like that, because you have such a wealth of knowledge, dude. Like,
I'll teach anything you want. What do you need to do?
Well, right now it's just amazing that, like, how
to celebrate the loss of a loved one truly, and be able to think of them before yourself. It's not about me.
Yeah.
It's not about me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, and as far as me concerned with you, you've already taught me so much, in just the fact that, like, one of the things that I kind of take home from a lot of my experiences learning is that sometimes it's just good to know that you're on the right path. So when I talk to you, and you are older than me, I feel really good about where I'm at, because I feel like we do share so much, and we do see things so, the same way, that it makes me feel very confident in the fact that I'm living my truth, and that I'm pursuing the kind of happiness that I know that maybe only you and I can understand, because we get it, but like, it makes me happy knowing that.
So meaningful to me.
Yeah.
Because in this new chapter in my life that I'm wanting to do, even just people that I talk to, and that's what I want to be able to do, is help people realize their own potential, no matter what it is. Beyond, we can learn how to make things, but beyond that, I don't even know what the word for it is. Is there that cat?
Yeah.
I thought that somebody, at first I thought Rico was making shadows with his fingers, because the cat's tail is like, does he have two tails?
It would be cool if you did. He'd be some kind of Katsume or
It wasn't.
something.
It looked like, how when you do these things like this, it was looking like this.
He's a furry man.
Like a cartoon of a witch's cat, how for Halloween.
Yeah, he's like a little shadow.
He is. He's a little shadow.
That's Nicholls.
That's
a beautiful cat.
He's such a sweetie. He is the sweetest cat. But no, you're 100% right. That's my aim too, is that I'm kind of addicted to people. And my addiction really comes down to falling in love with their potential more than I do them themselves. So I figured if I could do something that really just kind of aided their potential and kept enough distance from me so I don't fall into my own addiction, this podcast would be something. So like,
I know we always talk for so long. I'm looking at the clock. We've been talking for, 11, 12. We've been talking for almost 2 hours. I love it.
That's great.
And
That's
you're gonna have
awesome.
fun editing this one.
No, I mean, I don't think there's much to edit, to be honest with you. I think it's been just a really great,
You can edit it out. I'm wiping my nose on my sleeve.
I'm just going to put a picture of Icus's face like up, and that happens. And just be like, kitty.
You can put that picture of my yard. I've actually given you a lot of pictures you can put.
You've given me, and I took a screenshot of this setup because it has not only that beautiful tapestry there, but your father's sculptures as well. It was a perfect setup, and I appreciate you always thinking about that. That's really cool. Really, really cool of you.
Well, I'm going to say goodbye.
Yes, I think it's time. We've ran its course.
He's been hiding in his bed.
Well, tell him thank you for letting us borrow you. And you only wear one sweater. Yes,
we're gonna get him on here. So
yeah, no, we'll totally get on. Him and Rico can share a lot. So
oh my God, you and I can go take a break, and they can just talk about who knows what.
Whatever, man. But I love you. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
you're awesome.
Thank you. You really helped me. Bye.
Oh, ditto. Bye, girl. Well, that's another awesome time with Miss Carol Lebaron. Thank you, girl. You always inspire and heal me. I needed this. I'm sure everybody else probably picked something out of this that they could use for the rest of the week. And just remember, diary listeners, you could. You could.
Thanks for listening. You can find the Apprenticeship Diaries on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Our IG is the_apprenticeship_diary. If you would like to offer constructive criticism or an interview, drop us an email at theapprenticeshipdiaries@gmail.com. We look forward to hearing from our listeners.